to really think about, oh, thanks, Corinne, to think about, what we needed to do in order to support this transition to the one-step enrollment process. And the materials we created and this presentation today are directly, influenced by that feedback you guys provided. So those policies have been finalized and they'll go out on Friday, so you guys can start working on your procedures. Today, we're going to take you through sort of an overview of what a one-step enrollment process might look like for you guys, and for your staff once this process is implemented. We're going to share all of the resources and, a one-step toolkit that's been created to help you guys get started with this. And Corinne is going to give an overview of some of the changes that are coming in MIS that'll support this new process. I'm going to ask everybody to save all your questions for the end. And we're going to be, if you have any clarifying questions around the order of things, the process of stuff, we can talk about those today. And then if you have other questions, we're going to ask you guys to put those in the chat. Or, if they come up later, you can also reach out to Erica because she's going to be gathering all of those questions so that we can create a frequently asked questions document that'll help you guys with this transition and as we start implementing this one-step process. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and get started. So the one-step enrollment process. What might a one-step enrollment process look like? So based on the policies we put out, so policies 1, 2, and 3, a one-step enrollment process is going to follow this general flow: engagement, enrollment, frog. And we're going to start with the engagement. In the one-step process, the Healthy Families staff is going to receive a referral, and they'll make initial contact, either actual or attempted, with the family within 5 days of receipt of referral. Once a family is reached, the Healthy Family staff will have an additional 5 days to offer services if the screening criteria is positive. Once services are offered, if the family is ambivalent about enrollment, the Healthy Family staff will continue to build trust with them and reassess their interest in enrollment periodically. All of these activities around engaging them to want to enroll in the program are going to be recorded in the participant case note. So some things to keep in mind at this engagement phase. Up until now, we've used the term referral and screen interchangeably. However, going forward, the referral is going to refer to any information you receive about a family from a referral source. So this might be just a name and a contact number. It could be, name and general, birth date, baby's due date, etc. Or it could be a fully completed screen form and the contact information. And the screen is going to refer to that eligibility criteria. So those 4 demographic questions we ask to verify whether or not the family falls into that, high risk, high need population that we at Healthy Families target. This is a change, and the MIS is going to be adapted to allow you guys to input that referral information, that basic referral information at the front end and initiate a profile without needing all of the screen criteria to be completed. So previously, the pre-enrollment activities would have occurred before the frog and typically been completed by an FSS. Now, for programs with single role staff, those activities will be the responsibility of an FRS. So after engagement comes enrollment. If a family expresses interest in enrollment, a visit is scheduled to have the family sign appropriate consent. So some things to keep in mind here, and the enrollment date in the MIS will be the date that family signs the service agreement form, the family rights and confidentiality form, and the MIS informed consent form. Once a family is enrolled in the MIS, home visits are expected weekly, and the home visit rate begins to be calculated based on the date of the first home visit log. So something we'll want to pay close attention to is that in order to avoid enrolling families that will ghost the program, healthy family staff should use engagement interactions to build a relationship with families and gauge their genuine interest in the program. Families who appear hesitant or apprehensive at first may need a little more time to really, get interested and engaged with the idea of participating in our long-term services. And this process allows for a little more flexibility at the front end to take your time engaging those families. So you're not enrolling people who then disappear or you have to chase in order to actually see. After enrollment comes the administration of the frog. The frog is completed either in the enrollment visit or scheduled for another visit, but is completed within 30 days of enrollment and in no more than 2 visits. So things to keep in mind. When healthy family staff choose to enroll before the frog visit, they should remain aware this will stretch the number of days between enrollment and frog, which should ideally occur within the 30 days. So there is flexibility there, but you would just want to keep in mind that you have that 30-day time frame. Visits at which the frog is administered will be counted as home visits. So this is a new thing for us. As such, a home visit log will be required for these visits. Programs are going to be held accountable for the home visit rate expectations at the time of the frog visit. As such, engagement activities can be used to sort of help start those discussions about FSS assignment for single role programs prior to completing the frog. We'll want to make sure that the FRS is communicating to the family that they should expect a visit the next week after they've done their frog assessment. This is a bit of a change since before families weren't enrolled until after the frog was completed, and so the home visit rate wasn't yet established. So what happens after the frog? This will vary based on programs' staffing patterns. For single role programs, so programs where they have a designated FRS and FSS, after the frog is complete will look a lot like it looks now. The FRS can offer the family any appropriate referrals and let the family know that an FSS will be reaching out to begin working with them. Again, we'll want to make sure the FRS is being clear with the family that they should expect a visit in the next week. For dual role programs where the assigned worker has taken a family through the engagement process, enrolled them, done the frog, and is going to keep that family, they can go ahead and schedule the home visit for the next week themselves. So let's talk about rollout. So today we're having our one-step webinar. And then policies 1, 2, and 3 are going to be released as final to you guys on Friday, October 7th, so this week. We're going to begin procedure development from there, and the policy committee will be hosting office hours to help support you guys with any questions or concerns that come up while you're developing your policies. And those are going to be on October 18th, 25th, and the 1st. Procedures are going to be due back by November 7th, and the plan is for One Step to officially launch on November 15th. So I'm going to turn it over to Sam now, who's going to take you guys through the guideline materials that we've created to help with this implementation process. Let me just stop sharing. Find the control.
I think I might have been able to do the stop your share by turning mine on. Did that work?
Yep, you've got it.
Oh, okay. All right, awesome. All right, so we created a guideline document just to kind of make it easier for staff to see at a glance how this policy can be put into practice, and just to make it easier for people to track and remember each step of the process, because it's a new process. So we have our table of contents here. This grid is just a one-step, two-step kind of distinction. It just shows what the difference is between one-step and two-step for those who need, to kind of grasp it conceptually. So you can look at that. That's our first page. But here on this page, this basically breaks down the entire one-step enrollment process in a one-pager. So basically everything that Maggie just presented is here as a one-pager that staff can kind of print out, and it can help them track each step of the process. So our engagement process, our enrollment process, and the frog. And it also lists out how many business days you have for each step, and some additional tips and information in the gray boxes that staff may need as they're going through the process to help them better understand how to handle each part of that enrollment process, that new enrollment process. These next two forms give a distinction between staff who are dual role, meaning they're trained as both FSSs and FRSs and they're doing both roles, performing both roles, and staff who are single role, meaning that you're only an FSS or you're only an FRS, and your program kind of keeps those roles separately. And so you can do this one-step process with dual role or single role staff, but the process will look a little different after the frog once you go to try to enroll once you go to try to start services with the family. So we break that down on these two documents so that you can kind of have some guidelines on that. And we'll actually, I'm going through this a little quickly, but we'll actually provide you guys a copy of this so you'll be able to see it as well and have copies for your staff. This is a form that Corinne created. It's just our documentation form that shows the flow of how things will look in the MIS and kind of the form hierarchy. So I'll let Corinne go over that when she's next up. But before I have Corinne do her part, I just want to kind of show you a quick overview of what the MIS will look like. So this is kind of the new home case homepage that people will see once that switch is flipped to go into one step, and it kind of goes through in order of what the forms will be and what they'll have to fill out. And so these little red numbered circles actually tell you what order to do those forms in. And so that's it for the guidelines. I can turn it over to Corinne to go through the documentation and the MIS parts.
Thank you. So again, we tried to do something colorful and easy for you to hang next to your desk, where it would be easy to make sure that you are following the steps. What Maggie first referred to was review the referrals and begin attempt to contact the family. We put it under the screen because that is something that will happen before. And as she mentioned, we're working on having this be incorporated into the MIS. It's not right there just now, but it's going to be there as soon as we can. So for the time being, you'll have to keep on doing the same process that you've been doing so far, which is like, piece of papers. I know some programs are using the HFA spreadsheet to make sure to capture those referrals as soon as you get them. But the screen is now, the big change is that is the time where eligibility is determined, and the staff is assigned, and the case starts, and you have access to case notes and the PC1 ID and so forth. So we have to remember, and I'm looking and seeing that this should say referrals and referral screens and their outcomes, Sam. So this is not the most recent one. It should be monitored. So we're following all of these changes, I have to say, are changes that the BPSs have introduced as of January this year. So the whole policy committee has been trying to make sure that we have everything that is needed for the BPSs in our policy, and that is why we have all these changes. Anyway, after the screen, as Maggie said, comes all the engagement period. And for that, we've added all the different situations that you have on the engagement, on the pre-assessment form, 2 case notes, so that you can easily check on the drop down anything that was done. And all of that information for the month of engagement will be pulled into the engagement log. So it's no longer that you need to count or keep count of how many visits or how many calls or how many texts or how many, all of that. By using your case notes, where each time you make a call or each time you send a text message, all of that information will be automatically pulled into the engagement log, when by the end of the month you have to indicate the status of the case. So we're hoping that this is going to help you keep track of everything and make it easier for folks not to forget all of the work that they've been doing. After that, once the parent says, I want to enroll, you know, that happens when all these all the paperwork is signed. And again, you'll have to answer in the ID contact to that question, where the informed consent signs as a yes. That date on the engagement roll becomes the intake date. And that is why after that, we say FROG comes after that, correct? Maggie mentioned, in order to be able to track those FROG visits, how many visits it takes to complete the FROG, and whether it's within the 30 days of enrollment, we need to make sure that we are entering a home visit log, which will be adapted for when you're just doing the FROG. So basically, there's going to be a check mark on the visit information that you're going to say FROG visit. You'll just have to answer anything about FROG. Nothing else on the home visit log will need to be filled out, except for the program activity tabs that talk about the FROG, and enter a date on the parents response rate tab to be able to finish that home visit log. And then you will enter the FROG as usual. One very important thing, and again, this has to do with BPS's our need to be able to monitor how long it took. FROG date is now going to be the completion of the FROG. So I know that we've never asked for, like, some programs say, oh, when we start, we put the FROG date as, the date that we started the discussion, and others say, oh no, we put it as the day that we finished it. Now we're saying we need to have it, everybody, FROG date equals completion date. And then it's business as usual. You continue with your home visit log. This that we're now calling the baseline form is our intake, because basically intake happened around here. So now we're saying, okay, at baseline, we're going to ask all these questions that we need to know about the family so that we can continue to monitor them. Let me finally show you what it's going to look like in, and I'm using a demo here that we use, so that you can see what it looks like on the MIS. So when you go into forms, we now have, and I said, we're probably going to have something that says referral up here to capture all the referrals, but then it's going to be screen form, engagement log. And as I said, the engagement log is the same that you're accustomed to, where, you're going to use the same case status to put, but all of these are going to be pre-filled with whatever was done or put in to case notes when you start that engagement process. And once you put in the engagement log, your ID and contact form will light up. And once you go in and enter the yes into informed consent, all the rest of the forms will continue to light up as you go. Here we have the frog not lit up because we didn't have like everything prepared for today, but it will eventually for November 15th light up once you hit yes on the ID contact. And that's about it for me. Sam, you're muted.
Do we want to stop the recording here for the Q&A, or do we want to keep?
Maybe we should keep the questions, right? Oh, no, it's true. You said that. Who's recording?